Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the State of the District for Victor Elementary School District. We're going to start in just a couple minutes, so please take a seat. We'll start in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We're so glad to have all of you here. We were just talking backstage, and when I announced 2 minutes to start, it got super, super quiet. So you all are doing a very good job. Your behavior is excellent. Thank you for that. We're really excited to have you here for our 2019 State of the District Address. We have some really big announcements to make about the future of our district and how it's going to impact our kids. And we have some of our people telling some great stories about the work that's happening in our schools. So we're really excited to share this information with you. I wanted to take a moment to recognize a few of the dignitaries that we have in our audience today. We have the County Superintendent of Schools, Ted Alejandre, here. We have several members of our own Board of Trustees. We have Clayton Moore. Our President, Joyce Chamberlain. Alan Williams, our trustee. And our Vice President, Dr. Gabriel Lewis Stein. We also have the President and CEO of the Victor Valley Chamber of Commerce, Mark Creffield. Representing our Assemblyman Jay Obolnorky, we have Chris Nunez. And our First District Supervisor, Robert Lovingood. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. Now I'm going to ask everybody to please rise as we salute for the National Anthem. Sorry, Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. Thank you. So we're going to get right into the proceedings today. We have a great representation of our school district and our employees from classified to certificated. The first person that's coming up, I know Mark is in the back and he's the president of the Victor Valley Chamber, and we're always talking about growing the Victor Valley and attracting people to move here. And this person actually moved here from Portland, Oregon, last summer to take this job. So he's just a phenomenal talent, very, very much cares about our kids. So it's a really good sign that people do see this as a place they want to be and a place where they can work and do well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our Director of Nutrition Services, Mr. Charles Harden.
Decided to bring my first brain to help me out today. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Charles Harden. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services for Victor Elementary School District, and I'm honored to speak to you all this morning. Before we start, I just have one question. Raise your hand if you live by a certain routine. Awesome, I was expecting that. And we all have routines, and each morning before I get ready for work, part of my routine is to think about why I do what I do for Victor Elementary School District. And there's 4 main reasons why I enjoy what I do. Number one, which is the most important reason, is our students. A lot of folks don't know that in some cases, this meals that we provide to our students is probably the only meal that they're going to receive or eat that day. So it's important for us to be able to provide them with something healthy and nutritious each and every day. And I didn't know or think about that before I got into the world of nutrition services. So it means a lot to me when I get up in the morning and head into work. I know that I'm doing something positive for our students. The second reason why I enjoy what I do is I'm happy to be part of a successful urban school district that is allowing me to educate palates, inspire culinary curiosity, and nourish the health of the community through our school meals. The third reason is to provide our students with delicious, high-quality meals, because there's still this bad look and thoughts about what school meals are. Some folks still think that we're serving students how meals were served 15, 20 years ago. And I was fortunate enough to have parents that worked really well, so I didn't eat school meals. So I, too, as I was growing up, was just like, I'm not eating the cafeteria. The cafeteria lady's mean. They throw your food on the tray. Stuff is never hot. It's always cold. It's nothing you really like. And the pizza tastes like cardboard, but it was pizza, so it tastes good no matter what. And I guess my fourth reason why I enjoy what I do is knowing that our nutrition services department is an integral part within the district that's willing to do whatever it takes and support our students in any way. So those four reasons is why I'm extremely excited to be a part of VESD and our nutrition services department. So the most important things, I think Eric asked me, hey, tell us something great about nutrition services. We serve about 3,500 breakfasts per day, about 10,000 lunches, and 1,200 after-school snack programs to our students. And we employ about 115-ish staff, including our child nutrition operations supervisors. We have an awesome support team, our clerks within our office. We have our lead cooks. We have our kitchen assistants, and then we have our awesome warehouse and distribution delivery team. And in the midst of all that, we have our national school breakfast program, our national school lunch program, and also our after-school snack program. And here in the future, or school year 1920, we are going to pilot the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, which is an awesome program that allows nutrition services departments to provide our students with a healthy snack throughout the course of the day for the entire school year. So not only are they going to get that breakfast, and during lunchtime they're going to receive the fruits and vegetables then, but we also have students that are hungry throughout the day, and food powers the brain. So this program is allowing us to continue to serve our students throughout the day a healthy option to keep them going, because we all know if we don't get that breakfast in the morning time, we're not going to be ready for class, and that's going to slow down our learning. And then there's part of the time in the day where you just need that fuel to just get you back up to speed so you can learn, not only for adults, but mainly for our students. So it's an awesome opportunity for us, and I'm excited for the work that our office team did to put this all together to pilot it at our schools. So it's a good thing. I can go on and on about our program and what we do. I can talk about how our menu has changed. I can talk about what we have planned for the future. I can talk about how we're looking to change our logistics practices to ensure that when the food is delivered to our warehouse, it's on our trucks, it's delivered to our schools in a timely manner to allow our lead cooks the time to prepare the food the proper way and place that food on the tray for the students that eat with us each and every day. However, our program doesn't thrive unless the community is behind us. And when I say community, I'm talking about the parents who allow their students to eat with us daily, a few times a week, a couple times a week, or even one day per week if it's that student's favorite choice. And for us, participation is extremely important. And I guess it's extremely important because that's how we can really push our nutrition program to think outside of the box and provide our students with things that they wouldn't have the opportunity to try if they weren't at school. And the only way that we can do that is serving meals to our students at no cost, universal free meals to our students in the district. That's one way we can really push the limits in nutrition services and provide our students with the best options that are out there. And I'm proud to say that after months of collaboration with our business services office and our nutrition services department, I am proud to say that during school year 1920, we will be implementing the community eligibility provision district-wide to all 18 of our schools. And this is a great provision that will allow us to provide meals to our students, meals to every family at no charge. And not only is it a good thing, yeah, it's a great thing for our district, but it's an extremely great thing for our families. I can't thank the community and the district enough for the positive support that I have received and our office team and our kitchen teams have received, just that support based on what we do for our students. So I thank you all for allowing me the time to share with you what's going on in nutrition services. If at any time you want to converse with me about the future of our program, what we have going on, and how we can continue to help our students outside of school or help the community outside of just education, just providing our students with healthy meals, please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. The office team does a great job at scheduling appointments for folks to talk to me, or they're fielding calls for me as well. So we're here to do whatever it takes, and with your support, all things are possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. That was outstanding. Great job. Next up, we have from Parkview Preparatory, 21st Century School of Learning, we have Mr. Scott McDonald.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It's funny, I was sitting down there for a minute, and I was thinking, I was so nervous, I was shaking. And I don't usually get nervous speaking in front of people. And it took me a second to realize why. And it's because I'm looking at all of you, and I'm remembering being this tall doing it. Because I'm standing up here right now as a 5th grade teacher, and I could not be more honored. But see, my memory of all of you in this district begins 20 years ago when I was a student. I grew up in the hallways of Lomitas. Yep. So many amazing experiences. I had experiences like Junior Olympics, basketball team, young authors, school plays. There was so much to do, and it was such a great time. And with that, I had what I call Hall of Fame teachers. And there's so many of them in this district, it's tough to narrow them down, but I'd like to name a few for you. I had teachers like Mr. and Mrs. Sievers that always pushed me when I thought I couldn't be pushed anymore. Teachers like Mrs. Smolinski and Phillips that opened up my creativity and taught me to think outside the box. Teachers that are now retired like Priscilla Hegner that began my love of writing. And I don't know if they're in here today, but although their egos don't need it, Jason Bragg and my dad, Ryan McDonald, for teaching me lessons that aren't always in the textbook. So I thank and appreciate all of you. Now, people have always asked me, having parents in this district must have been a blessing. It must have been so great. And you know what? I have to say, it really is. As a teacher now, I go to both of them all the time. I'm always asking for advice, like, hey, what would you do here? What do you think? As a kid, not so much. As a student who occasionally wanted to miss a homework assignment or two, with my dad being my teacher, not always the case. I'd go home, and if I didn't get it done, he'd know. And if I didn't get that done, well, I was in the teacher's office before dinner, and my mom being a principal at the time, I was in the principal's office by 6. So yeah. But no, I don't see him out here, but if you guys are, I love both of you very much. And oh, hey. I love you too. And I appreciate you both very much, so I hope you always know that. But no, watching what they did, what all of you did throughout the years, it helped me. And it helped so many of us. And now that I am a teacher, I remembered those moments. I remembered those lessons that made the classroom light up, where everyone got excited for a specific lesson. Even the lessons that we weren't so enthused about, I still remembered those too, because there were pieces of that that helped me become who I am today. And it's those moments, it's what the teachers gave us, it's what all of you have given me and so many of us that are now returning as teachers or going out there into the world. And it's those lessons of to be who you want to be. It's to push yourself when you don't think you can go anymore. To think creatively and be a part of a team when you might not get along with the person next to you. And all of you have given me that, and I am trying my best now to give that to the students that I have. Now, I can't stand up here and promise all of you that I'm going to be as great as those Hall of Fame teachers. Lord knows I'll try. But what I can promise you is I will take those same lessons that you have all given me, that you've done so well and helped me grow. I will do my very best to pass that along to my students now. Because maybe in 15 or 20 years, if I'm very lucky, I might have a student standing up here saying the same. Now, I don't know if that'll happen or not, but hopefully what I can do is pass along the same fun, the same lessons and creativity and just all around greatness that you all have shared with me and so many students. So I know as teachers, sometimes we don't always get to see the finished result of our students, especially at elementary. But as someone who was your student, I would like to say thank you. And I hope you know we are forever grateful. So thank you guys very much, and I hope you have a great day.
Please welcome to the stage Mr. Jorge Escalante from the Family Resource Center.
Good morning. I'm very excited to say that the Family Resource Center is empowering more parents each day. It's so amazing to see all the growth, and not only the growth in numbers, but also the personal growth in each person, each parent that has soaked in these resources. And in the classes that we've offered, some of the parenting classes, we've had different people come in, but we've had a lot of grandparents recently that are raising their grandbabies. And these they come in, they tell us, I don't remember how to do this, but they receive the help and have thanked us for guiding them and raising students, raising these young people in this new generation. So parents who did not dare speak to their students' teachers because of language barriers or different other different reasons are now volunteering in the classrooms and in different school activities, helping to run the dances, things like that. So we're proud to see that. A parent who was invited to read in Arabic for our family bilingual story time was so motivated by this by this experience that she set a goal to one day read again, but in English, to do it in English. So she took levels 1, 2, and 3 of ESL at the center and proudly let us know that she is currently taking level 4 at the college. And that this is her very first college class that she's taken. So it's nice to hear of this progress. So it's nice. You should just see the look on her kids' faces. They're so proud of her. The parenting classes are healing and bonding families. Parents are attending parent-teacher conferences. They're setting up game nights at home and sitting together for dinner and for homework because they are learning that creating relationships and being present is the key for the success of their children. So I want to take a moment to thank you as well for the relationships that you create with our students to help them with their futures. Other parents are discovering and challenging their potential. We've seen so many parents grow. They're supporting other parents and even teaching some classes. We have parents that started as students and now they're teaching classes at the center. And it is humbling to see how people from different backgrounds, nationalities, social statuses, and with children in different schools are becoming a family. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve VESD and to serve in the Family Resource Center along with all of you, and just help these parents bring their kids up, because everything we do, as Charles was saying, we do it for the kids because we love the kids and we want the best for them. So I want to take a quick moment to do a shout out to Teresa Sybil, our center secretary, for all her hard work and her initiative and her complete support to all the programs. It'd be hard to run it without her. So last school year, we ran 18 classes, and by the end of this school year, we will have run close to 30. So we're running a few more classes. Last school year at this time, we had about 5,000 sign-ins, and as of yesterday, Teresa did the count, we have over 6,000 sign-ins, so it is growing. We want to continue to empower parents. We want to form relationships with them and the community that will lead to providing more and more opportunities for our students' education. We want them to reach their full potential, and we are excited for our next steps with the Family Resource Center. We want to reach all families, not just the ones that are easy to reach. And for this upcoming school year, we will be piloting action teams for partnerships at four of our schools. Joyce Epstein is a professor of education at Johns Hopkins University, and she's the director of the Center on School, Family, and Community Partnerships. And Professor Epstein and her team developed the National Network of Partnership Schools, the NNPS, in 1995, and it is a research-based approach to reach our families. And their research found that family engagement in a child's education raises student achievements, improves behavior and attendance, decreases dropout rates, and improves the emotional, physical well-being of children. They found that families are critical determinants of children's school readiness, as well as students' decision to pursue higher education. In addition, effective family engagement is a great equalizer for students, so that's what we want to work on. We want to work more on family engagement, and it contributes to their increased academic achievement, regardless of parents' education level, ethnicity, or socioeconomic background. So the NNPS model is one of the few research-based approaches designed to help schools, districts, and states organize, implement, and sustain goal-linked programs of family and community involvement. And she does this through 6 types of involvement, which include parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and collaborating with the community. So these action teams for partnerships will include teachers, parents, family members, administrators, community partners, so this is where everyone can come in and help us, and other partners as well. These teams will review school and district goals and implement family and community engagement activities linked to the goals of both schools and the district. And so what will well-designed and well-implemented family community involvement activities do? Why is this good for us? Why is it good for our parents? Well, parents, students, and teachers. So for the students, this will help us help them to have higher grades and test scores, better attendance, improved behavior at home and at school, better social skills and adjustment to school, more classes passed and credits earned, increased enrollment in more challenging academic programs, and graduation on time. For our parents, it will lead to stronger sense of support from school and other parents, more awareness of student progress and effective response to problems, increased self-confidence about guiding students through school, appreciation of the teachers' work and skills, and increased feeling of ownership of the school. We want to create those relationships between home, school, and community. And for the teachers, lastly, it'll be increased respect for the families, strengths and their efforts, increased understanding of families' goals for their children, greater readiness to involve all families in new ways, and the use of the community resources will enrich students' experiences and an increased satisfaction with their teaching. So we have a lot of goals for the Family Resource Center, and I want to thank everyone that has been involved in helping us, our community members, teachers, all of you. It's a team effort. We're not doing this alone, so I'm just extremely grateful for all of your help and for the different things that will come in the future. I thank you so much for everything, and just have a great day.
Thank you, Jorge. Next up, from Mojave Vista School of Cultural Arts, it's Mrs. Jennifer Grant.
Hi. Okay, so just like Mr. McDonald, Eric called me and said, hey, we would like for you, if you would be willing to speak at our State of the District. I had no idea what that was, and so I was like, sure. And then 2 days later, I called back, and so what is that exactly? And then I didn't want to do it anymore because I too am not comfortable speaking in front of crowds. So I typed up this excellent speech and asked them to approve it and asked some of my peers to go over it and make sure I said everything just right. I left it over there. So, because I got here this morning and I was so nervous and I spoke to a couple of people in here, and one piece of advice that was given was to smell the roses and blow out the candles. So I'm glad Eric's back there because I'm about to change my whole speech. Okay, so Mrs. Davis said to just tell my story. So that's what I'm going to do. And Michelle Dale said, now you get a chance to just show who you are. Yeah, that part almost made me want to run. But here we go. So here we go. I've been teaching for 20 years. Go ahead and say, you don't look like you've been teaching 20 years. Okay, so I have been teaching for 20 years in Title I schools in different states. I started off in Jackson, Mississippi, and then I went to Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia. So Jackson was a little bit more rural, like, oh, hi, Mrs. Grant, and the parents treated me like I was a god. They were like, oh, now you listen to that teacher. And so I didn't have very many discipline problems in Jackson, and I loved it. I went to Richmond, Virginia, which, for lack of a better term, it was the hood. And it brought different challenges because, well, the parents, I didn't get very much parent support. Education wasn't very important in the school that I taught in, so that's the first time I knew that I had to build relationships with my students, period. My accountability was there in my classroom. So that's what helped me to begin, I guess, my teaching style with accountability. Then I moved to Barstow. Yeah, I was convinced, right, I know, right? So I was convinced, it was just really, really cold. I went up there to help my sister, but anyway, long story short, I moved to Barstow and I applied for the first job, and I was convinced by the district that it's a small little town halfway between LA and Vegas. I had never been to California, by the way, and you're surrounded by mountains. I'm like, yes, I am there. I hope I get this job. I drove from Virginia, got here. and wanted to turn around and drive back. But again, because this was such a just desolate town, and I saw it as a canvas to just try to establish who I was as a teacher. It was my 5th year as a teacher at the time, and I had an amazing principal who just said, do what you do. And because I knew no one, my students was all that I knew. So the only people I had to talk to were my students. So every single day, I got to know my kids, and I knew them in and out, and our relationships were so strong. And at that time, we were leveled. My classroom, I had the lowest of the low of the low. And of course, the more seasoned teachers had the high-performing students. Well, that year, my students' scores were higher than theirs. And I have to say, it's not because I was such a phenomenal teacher, but it was because I knew my students and I knew how to move them. So then I moved to Florida, where I had a whole new challenge of ELL students. My school had 90% ELL. Yeah, I had students that were just literally dropped with no English whatsoever. And it wasn't just Spanish. I could maybe get through that. But no, I had Portuguese and Chinese. I was just like, all righty then. But then they had to pass this state test. And to top it off, in Florida, my paycheck was contingent upon student growth. Yeah, it was a merit system there. I was like, wait a minute, so if these kids don't pass, I don't get paid? That was a big pill to swallow, but that, again, motivated me to do what I needed to do to get to know my kids and find whatever resources I could to make sure my students were successful. Now, I have to just take one moment to say that I stayed there 5 years, and by the time I left there, I was ranked one of the top 10% of the most effective teachers in the state of Florida. So, anyway, but it was, again, I have to say, it's not because I was so phenomenal. It was because my students challenged me to do different things and building those relationships. So I finally decided to come back to Florida because with all that work, they didn't pay me anything. So at that point, I was still getting paid under $50,000 a year. So yeah, what do I love about this district? Yep. So I decided to come back to California where the cost of living was lower and the pay was way higher. And even with just being given 5 years of experience, I was still making way more than I was making in Florida. So thank you again, Maureen, for my job. And so now the new set of challenges here in the district, I want to say from this point on and what I have to say, I just want to start with what I'm grateful for. I already said thank you, Maureen, so much for giving me a job while I was driving. Once again, yeah, you think I'm scared to fly. No, I drove from Florida all the way to California, and on that road trip, I was given a job as a 5th grade teacher at Mojave Vista Elementary School, School of Cultural Arts. Funny because I've always been interviewed by the principal, never by the assistant superintendent. So I was appointed to the school, so it was almost like a prearranged marriage. And so I was excited to meet my new wife, Miss LaBrosse. But from the past, I know I'm a lot. I have a lot of energy, and I'm always trying to do stuff because when you're on fire for students, you tend to push the boundaries. And I'm one of those. So I'm like, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that. Oh, Miss Grant, you can't do that. You have to stay. So it was going to take a lot. So when I saw this little 4-foot-tall lady, I was thinking to myself, she can't handle me. I'm telling you right now. So I had all this energy, and I wanted to jump on all these committees. I heard there was an amazing committee called the AAEC, and I was like, I heard that. I was like, oh, I want to be on that. She goes, no, Jennifer, calm down. You need to wait for a while because you're new, and you need to just try to get to know the district a little bit more. I was like, oh, but I have all this energy. So I bugged her. She gave me the approval. I'm like, yes. Mr. White came on and said, I'm on that committee too. I'm like, yes. So she supported me right away. I was like, all right, so now here we go. Then you guys called your superintendent, Jan. Thank you for letting us have that kind of relationship with you. Thank you, because I never have been in a district where you can call your superintendent Jan. Gail, I didn't call you Gail. I don't think I still call you Gail. I don't. That was weird. It felt weird even coming out. So, Miss LaBrosse, I can't do that one. Well, by the way, she's handling me. I mean, she keeps me in my place. But one of the main things I love, I'm grateful for the fact that I saw some amazing teachers at my school. Oh, back up. I forgot this one. First year teacher training. I have to say, I came here seasoned. I'm like, I don't need first year teacher training. I came here, I'm like, I don't want to do this, but we have to because you're new to the district. I was like, I don't want to. Thank you for humbling me. I thought I knew it all. Ms. Severs, thank you so much for letting me know that I know nothing about number talks and bar model. And oh my gosh, you're starting me over. Thank you, Ms. Dale, for making me know that literally I thought I was a great writer like Mr. McDonald. No. Thank you. Thank you. So that has been an extremely humbling experience. But back to my school. So I had no idea what I had in store for me, but I saw some amazing teachers at my school. I saw Mr. Hill, Mr. Garcia building relationships with their students through sports and after school activities. I saw Ms. Powell doing these restorative circles with their students. I see teachers at their door playing music, high-fiving with their little personal handshakes. I was like, yes, I've landed in the right place. This is my type of people. So, and it's a school of cultural arts. I teach dance. I went to a performing arts school. I used to want to be Coco off of Fame. So I've kind of kept up that dream. And so I teach dance. I teach African dance. I used to take ballet, tap, but African dance seemed to fit with my school of cultural arts. So I said, hey, Ms. LaBrosse, can I teach African dance? She goes, sure. Well, you have to get this done, you have to do this, and it was a long laundry list of things to do, but I did it, and she says, well, let me know if you need help, and she helped me get that started. So I was so excited to start the first cultural arts dance program at our school. We've learned dances from China, Africa, Ireland, Egypt this year, Egyptian dance. So we're having a cultural arts night. I hope you come out to visit. I think it's May 15th, 16th. Yeah, I have a lot of dates. So then my students were playing basketball, and I went to support my students in that. And of course, the boys that were in my room were like, Ms. Grant, we need cheerleaders. These other schools have cheerleaders. We need them. So I said, Ms. LaBrosse, can we bring cheer back to our school? She's like, absolutely. Let me know. Go find this, go find that. So I was like, get the cheer pom-poms, the uniforms, whatever you guys need, just let me know. I was like, maybe I should join the PTO too because we're asking them for a lot of money. So, and I think by default, I became the vice president. I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. So I felt like an Obama, literally. So then, I'm coming, Eric, I'm almost done. So then, last one was my students were doing a lot of, you know how we try to relate and act like we're cool and listen to the latest rap music and stuff. So I bring a lot of that to my classroom. I bring a lot of songs and dance and I try to rap. But my students were like, oh, Ms. Grant, listen to this rap I made. And I was like, okay, how can we put this into our curriculum? Well, we decided to have a spoken word event, a poetry event at our school, and it was the first ever at our school, and I'm not sure if it's the first ever in our district, but I couldn't believe that our superintendent showed up. She and her husband, Victor, showed up front row, ready to go and to support our babies, and we had over 200 people in attendance in the community. Oh man, it was amazing. And so the students were nervous, of course, because they had never done anything like this, and so we invited the parents to come up and speak too. And so some of the poems were dedicated to their parents, and the parents dedicated poems back to their kids, and there was not a dry eye in the house. We had students speak out about school shootings, and they talked about some of their parents being incarcerated, and it was just amazing to see them in their rawest form and just expressing how they feel, using and having such a command of the language. I couldn't believe I had a 5th grader recite The Raven, Edgar Allan Poe. I can't even do that. So it was just amazing. And we're having another one on May 3rd, mark the date, from 5 to 8. And I am using this platform as an opportunity to, if you have any students, if you're teachers and you have students that would love to participate in something like that, please get in contact with me. That would be amazing. Any community members or anybody in this room that would love to see an amazing display of talent of our students, please come to our school at Mojave Vista on May 3rd from 5 to 8. And last but not least, I want to say thank you, Mr. White, for just coming in every day to check on me that you're in school. Man, I look for you on those days. So thank you for my job again, Maureen. Thank you, Jan. Thank you for everybody. And most importantly, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to such an important crowd when I've only been with your district for a year and a half. That says a lot. That speaks volumes that you care about your teachers as well. So thank you.
Grant, ladies and gentlemen, great job. Next up on stage, we have Kimberly Verduzco, Ian Johnson, Jeff Sievers, and Amanda Smith.
This morning, we'd like to tell you a story. It's a fictional story, and the student in our story, Jason, could be any number of students in the Victor Elementary School District. A day in the life of Jason. Jason is rushing to school. He just can't be late again. That makes the third time this week, and Miss Mary, the school secretary, is getting really upset with him. As he gets to the door, he braces himself for the inevitable scolding he's going to get for being late. "You're late again, Jason," states Miss Mary. "That's the third time this week." "I'm sorry," Jason replies. "Young man, I don't know why you can't get to school on time. Everyone else is able to do it. You need to do a better job." "I'll try, ma'am." He lowers his head, walks out the back of the office door, and heads to his classroom.
Upon entering his classroom, Jason puts his head down on his desk and puts the hood of his sweatshirt over his head. At that point, his classmates start to take out their homework to get ready to turn in. Jason does not have any homework to turn in. His teacher walks over to him and asks, "Jason, where's your homework?" He replies, "I just don't got it." She then says, "Did you give the note to your mother about your homework? How are you going to earn your fun Friday activity if you do not complete your homework?" Jason just stares at her. Though his breath becomes rapid and he starts clenching his fists, he doesn't say anything. He does not complete any work for the remainder of the morning.
On the way to recess later, a proctor yells out to Jason, "Hey you, kid in the red sweatshirt, I don't want any problems from you today, or you're going to go to the office." Jason runs away from the proctor without acknowledging that comment. He thinks to himself, "I hate this school. Everyone here is mean to me. I wish I didn't have to stay here." When he gets back in the classroom, it's time for math. When the teacher starts the lesson, Jason is lost. His paper is blank. He turns around to a student near him to see what they're doing, and he asks a question. He's interrupted by the teacher who says, "I said no talking. You haven't done an ounce of work all day, and now you're bothering others. You need to go to the office and complete your assignment." When Jason enters the office, he's greeted by the collective comment, "You again? What'd you do this time?" Jason pulls his hoodie up, stomps to the corner, and puts his head down. A while later, the secretary looks up at the clock and realizes that Jason's been sitting there for an hour and a half. No one's called for him, and it's time for him to go to lunch. She sends him to the cafeteria to join his class.
When Jason joins his classmates in the cafeteria, a group of boys are laughing. They're teasing each other about their shoes, their hair, their clothes, and Jason tries to join in. One of the boys makes a joke about the fact that Jason is wearing the same dirty clothes again. Upset, he pushes his tray toward the other student and storms out of the cafeteria. "Hey, you, get back here," yells a proctor. Jason ignores her and keeps walking. He's intercepted by the principal, who escorts him directly to the office. After a short lecture, the principal informs Jason that he will be suspended from school for his defiance and disrespect throughout the day and for pushing another student. They call his guardian to pick him up, but since they can't reach anyone, Jason ends up sitting in the office for the rest of the day until the last bell rings, and then he walks home. The next day, he stays home on suspension.
By all accounts, Jason is a problem student. Difficult to get along with in most situations and with most everyone. He's quick to anger, more disrespectful than most, moody, and seriously behind in his academic achievement. But let's take another look at Jason's day when multi-tiered systems of support are in place. Since moving in with his grandmother, Jason has been trying to learn a new routine. Since his grandmother is ill, he's also been tasked with getting his little sister ready for school. He gets her clothes, lays them on the bed, tries to find her shoes. What does she do with her shoes? He searches high, he searches low, he finally finds them underneath the bed. He tries to help her brush her hair, helps her get her teeth brushed, and starts to help her with her homework as they wait for the ride that will take them to school. Though he's not really certain about this ride, they haven't been very dependable. Inevitably, the ride doesn't show. Jason and his little sister begin to walk to school. Late again, he thinks to himself. As they approach the school, a voice cries out, "Jason! So glad to see you and your little sister." It's the school safety coordinator. "I saved you some breakfast. Head on over to the cafeteria." Jason sits down and begins to enjoy his breakfast. He's grateful for it because the great shoe hunt prevented him from getting his breakfast that morning. His belly full, he heads off to his classroom where he's greeted by his teacher with a warm smile and a hearty handshake. "Jason, it's so good to see you. We're about to start our morning meeting. Head on in and take a place."
In class, his peers are starting to make their desks and chairs into a circle. He is getting excited for his morning meeting. It is a way for the students in his class to check in with each other and go over their day. His teacher has created a very safe place where the students feel free to share their feelings, and Jason quickly joins in. He decides to share about his recent move. And he felt great and started to feel better about his day that his peers were offering words of support. At recess, Jason heads out to the playground where he is greeted by name by one of the noon duty supervisors and is rewarded a positive behavioral ticket. He thinks to himself, "This school's not too bad. I think they kind of care about me." On his way back to class, his teacher reminds him that he has his check-in, check-out with the school safety coordinator. It is time for him to go check in with a positive adult role model on campus and go over some behavioral goals and just goals of the day. The MTSS team recognized that Jason's hardest time during the day was during math instruction and decided that this would be a great tool to utilize to help him start his day correct.
When he's back in the classroom, Jason still feels himself starting to tense up when math instruction begins. Math has always been hard for him, but he missed a lot of the instruction earlier in the year before he moved in with his grandma, so he was really behind. So using the tools and strategies that he talked about with the school safety coordinator during his check-in, he heads to the calming corner of the classroom that his teacher has set up for all students to help them succeed. While he's there, he takes some calming breaths, and he begins to feel a little bit more ready to deal with math, and he thinks, I can actually work with my peers in my group to get some help. So he heads back to his collaborative group, and he joins in the math activity. Soon, he asks one of the girls next to him for some help on a math problem, and she quickly gets some manipulatives to help him solve the problem hands-on. Jason's thinking to himself, still don't like math, but I'm kind of starting to understand it. Later, when it's time for lunch, Jason's entire class goes out to the playground first to play and get all their energy out and relieve some stress before they go to the cafeteria to eat. When they are in the cafeteria, sitting down at the table, some of the boys start joking around and roasting each other about their hair, their shoes. And when one of the students starts to make a comment about Jason's clothes, he feels himself getting really angry. He pushes his tray to the side, stands up, and starts taking some deep breaths to calm down. The principal's nearby and notices Jason standing up, sees his demeanor, and approaches him. She asks him if he'd like to go for a walk to calm down. So together they go outside, they take a walk together, and Jason shares with her about his feelings and what was making him upset in the cafeteria. She praises him for using his strategies to calm down and handle his emotions appropriately. They continue to walk, and she asks him about his little sister and how things are going with the move. After a while, Jason's calm and ready to go back to finish his lunch. She asks him if he'd like to go back to join his class or have some more quiet time in the office, and he chooses to go to the office. When he enters the office, Ms. Mary, the secretary, greets him, "Hi, Jason," and she talks to him about the upcoming basketball tryouts. She encourages him to try out. Jason thinks, that would actually be pretty fun, and I could make some new friends. But he's really worried about what his little sister would do after school. He decides that he'll talk to his teacher because she's really good at helping solve problems and would help him find a solution that's best for both of them.
In his language arts class, Jason gets to work right away on his assignment. He knows that soon it will be time for his weekly counseling group with the school psychologist. He and a few peers are called to their group, and they begin to practice the coping strategies that they've been learning. Jason's proud to share with his group members that he's actually been using the strategies they've learned in class. The school psychologist works closely with Jason's teacher and his grandma, and they too have been noticing that he's been getting better at calming himself down lately. After group, Jason returns to class and finds the students participating in a brain break activity. He tells his teacher about the basketball team and asks if there's anything after school that his sister could do at the same time. The robotics club meets after school, and Jason's teacher said that she'd be happy to recommend his sister to participate. As the school day ends, Jason heads to the school safety coordinator for his daily checkout. He's really proud because he met his goal for the day. Jason's praised for his achievement with a high five and gets his goal sheet signed. He'll take it home for his grandma to see and sign too. As he walks home with his little sister, he finds himself excited about the next day. He actually likes school.
I think we can all agree that Jason's day was much different when multi-tiered systems of support were in place. Same student in the same situations yielded vastly different responses. But what happened? In the first telling, everyone was concerned about student behavior. Compliance was the goal. In the second telling, the MTSS team had supports in place and recognized Jason as a whole child. And with these supports, he was able to be successful. It's like taking the lens off of your camera and putting a telephoto lens off your camera and putting on a wide-angle lens. At that point, you're able to see more of the picture. You're able to capture more of the image. You're able to appreciate more of the beauty. Because the MTSS team is collaborative in nature, conversations were had and information shared that help all staff recognize Jason as a whole child and put a structure in place to help him. We want our students to succeed academically, but to do so, we also have to help them succeed behaviorally and take care of their social-emotional skills. In the end, the relationships that Jason built and the skills that Jason learned meant that he could reach his full potential. It is why the MTSS teams in the Victor Elementary School District have become so important to the achievement of our students.
I'm Kim Verdusco, and I'm one of 18 school principals in the Victor Elementary School District. And I'm very proud to be standing here with this incredible team this morning to represent a few of the vital roles and varied roles in our site MTSS teams. As a school principal, I'm 100% responsible for leading our staff in developing a school culture that is supportive of all student needs and supports all students in growing in all areas. We totally drew a blank. I'm sorry, I totally drew a blank. Our focus is on making sure that we are building that culture, we are building positive relationships with our students and their families, and we're meeting regularly and using data to drive our instruction and to provide individualized supports to meet our students' needs, so their social emotional needs, behavior needs, and academic needs. In Jason's case, it's essential that our entire school community is working together, from the cafeteria to the office to the classroom to the playground, all dedicated to show Jason that we care and that we're here to listen to him, to give him those supports so that he can be successful and meet those high expectations that we set for him. As a school principal, I meet weekly with varied parent and staff MTSS teams to look at data and to plan. And it's my duty to ensure that all of our school community has the resources, the tools, and the training necessary for them to be able to continue to grow in our MTSS journey together.
My name is Jeff Sievers, and I'm one of 15 on-site instructional coordinators here in the Victor Elementary School District. Our position on the MTSS team is to watch over student achievement and their progress. Part of our goal is to make sure that we use the most current research, the most current techniques, and the most current activities to put our students in the very best learning environment, and then to pass those on to our teachers via trainings, modeled lessons, and other activities. In Jason's case, the OSICs, as we're known, might have met with the teacher and established a climate in the classroom where we promote growth mindset, where students understand that productive struggle is part of the learning process. We might also have worked with that teacher to allow students in math class to collaborate with one another, to help each other, and to use the math manipulatives available so that they could master a difficult concept. I just went to page 1. Having these tools accessible to our teachers and having these discussions in the MTSS teams allows the team to keep in mind the whole child and to put the whole child in the best environment for learning.
Good morning. My name is Ian Johnson, and I am one of 16 school safety coordinators for VESD. My job description includes providing support to the school site administration and teachers with student discipline concerns, overseeing the noon duty supervisors, ensuring the safety of students and school site by following compliance standards set by the state, and documenting and recording data in those areas. In essence, this translates to creating relationships with our school family by being a positive presence in the interactions with students during their structured and unstructured time. This helps prevent the majority of potential issues when and if they do arise. When situations do arise, I gather information from all involved. I get a picture of the circumstances, apply school rules, and make the appropriate partnerships to come to a resolution. Sorry, I didn't memorize mine. I then follow up with students and help mentor them on how to manage themselves and situations to help prevent further situations that happen. By doing so, we create a culture of safety and place an emphasis on consequences of individual actions and not necessarily punishment. Everyone feels safe and allows the students to focus on academics and the staff to be instructional leaders. My role on the MTSS team is to analyze and share behavioral data and implement supports for teachers and students. In Jason's story, a strategy that I use is the check-in, check-out. Check-in, check-out helps foster a positive relationship with an adult on campus and encourage students to meet certain behavioral goals.
Hi, my name is Amanda Smith, and I'm one of the 16 school psychologists that we have in VESD. I work together with students, their families, and school staff members to help kids be their best selves. For a student who's struggling academically, like in Jason's example, I may work with the school team to develop targeted interventions to address the academic need and find ways to monitor student progress over time. I may also help a school team determine if a student is struggling because they have a disability or if there are other factors interfering with their academic achievement. For a student like Jason, who's also experiencing emotional difficulties, I may work with them in a small counseling group to develop coping skills. In these groups, I help students learn strategies and tools to address whatever their area of need is, whether that's anxiety coping, anger coping, social skills, etc. I also provide resources and trainings to school staff members and parents on topics like trauma-informed care, behavior, autism, and parenting. My favorite part of my job, though, is connecting with students on a daily basis. I want every student on our campus to feel just like Jason did, safe and supported at school. So to the teachers, parents, school staff members, and community members that are all contributing to this effort, thank you for everything you do for our students. Together, we are all MTSS.
Great job, team. Next up, please welcome Joe Pont, Supervisor of Maintenance and Grounds.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Wow, can we dim those lights, please? All right, MTSS, I love it. I've been coaching, some of you guys may know, I've been coaching for roughly 17 years, and it's good to know that it sounds like I've been doing that a little bit of the way, so I appreciate the info on that. So again, my name is Joe Pont. Good morning, everybody. I am the Supervisor of Maintenance and Grounds at Victor Elementary School District. My role is to make sure all 22 sites, soon to be 23, are well maintained and safe. I could not do this without the help of my amazing team. We have 24 team members total, 13 maintenance technicians, 8 groundsmen, and 3 office staff. This high-performing team works so effectively together, and when it's crunch time, somehow they always manage to make it happen. My journey here at VSD started when I was 5 years old as a student running the halls as well with Scott. I ran in Village and Irwin's hallways. Now let's fast forward about 25 years. Who would have thought I would be doing it again? Only now I'm running because something's flooding or broken. Not running after the girl or the ball down the hallway like I once was. About 12 years ago this May, I was hired on as a maintenance technician. Working in the construction industry for about 15 years prior and being an introvert, who would have thought, right? I was very nervous coming into the district. I quickly realized I had absolutely nothing to worry about, and they would quickly force me out of my comfort zone. Thank you, Jan. I believe this was a turning point to not only my career, but also a huge turning point in my life. Our VSD motto, whatever it takes, as you heard today, is practiced by all members of our VSD family and plays a huge role in student achievement. We have been keeping this motto alive strong for the last 20 years. For myself, the motto, whatever it takes, is so simple but very true in our profession. Our goal is to give our students the best education they can receive, and no matter what job title you hold in our district, our VSD family is doing whatever it takes to make that happen. We have 17, soon to be 18 schools, to house just about 12,000 students, with just under 600 support staff, consisting of 161 noon duty supervisors, also known as our proctors, 16 school safety coordinators, as you heard Ian talked about it, 375 classified members, 29 classified managers, and 72 bus drivers. These special people all play a very important role in our district, in our student achievement, and I just want to personally say thank you. Past studies show that student interaction with our classified members help create positive learning environments. Our VSD family strives on building strong relationships and lifelong leaders within our district and within our community, which is why we are here today. We have also opened the doors to some amazing ideas from our support staff to generate more involvement outside the normal day-to-day operations, such as, and not limited to, excuse me, the Mno Career Fair. This is our 12th annual this year that we held it. It consists of 15 students coming to our facilities. We hold 14 stations to talk about what we do for the district and in 4 days. We also performed a Find Your Why training for our classified staff. We do a morning welcome mob for all students at each school every Monday. We high-five the kids and welcome them back to school. Not only is that a student booster, but also it does wonders for us as staff. We have the chess club at Brentwood, ran by a custodian there. We have the robotics club competition. We have a classified book club that I was part of, and thank you, Jen. We have our Quality Works team, again, I was part of, and thank you, Jen. This group consists of classified teachers, administrators, who all meet monthly to go over district topics and strategies. These are just some of the great opportunities that our district has organized and took the time to bring more involvement with our students. In closing, there have been 3 generations of my family that have attended VESD, and I am very proud to not only have attended, but I have the honors to now make decisions for the district for the good of all students and staff in my role here as Supervisor of Maintenance and Grounds. Thank you.
Next up, please welcome to the stage Ms. Laurie Cran from Galileo Academy.
Well, they lowered the podium for me so that you guys could actually see me. I'm sorry about really important people down here. So I hope you can at least hear me. I probably don't even need the microphone, but I thank you, Jan. She asked me to be a speaker, a guest speaker, and she wanted me to make this personal. And so I did. I rewrote my script to make it more personal. I want to thank Jennifer Grant for laying the groundwork of how long I could go with my speech, so thank you so much. Eric, don't start the clock yet. I will probably go a little bit longer than the 5 minutes that I'm allowed, but thank you, Jennifer. You did it before me, so I appreciate that. So I was born August 27th, 1953 in Hollywood, California, so it seems appropriate to have my name in lights, finally, at my age of 65, so I appreciate that. But I am really proud to be one of the current 375 classified employees within the Victor Elementary School District, which is the best school district in the entire high desert, and maybe even the entire world. Let's hear it, yay! And I truly, truly believe that. I'm here to share with you what working in this district for the last 23 years has meant to me, but first, you need to hear my bio. So what my experience has been. So I started in September of 1996. I was hired as a 3-hour instructional aide at Victor Primary, and if any of you don't recognize that name, it is now called 6th Street Prep. And I worked there for about 1.5 years, and I started in the district at 3 hours. Now, mind you, I needed an 8-hour job. I was raising my daughter by myself, going through a divorce with no financial help from her father. So I really needed an 8-hour job. I had been a stay-at-home mom for many, many years, and previous to that was a legal secretary. But you don't always start out with an 8-hour job in the district. So the Lord led me to this district, and I said, okay, God, I'm going with you. You're my partner. You'll figure it out and help me pay my bills, and somehow I did, even with 3 hours. But at the same time, though, I subbed wherever I could, and I subbed at the district office as much as I could in fiscal services and purchasing. I went through the cafeteria at lunchtime. Boy, was that an experience of a lifetime. What that really taught me was everybody's job's important. It taught me what everybody does in these positions that you never get to experience, and how hard cafeteria work. You really have to go at lunch with those trays thrown at you from 1,000 students and realize what they do within a 2-hour period of time to get their job done. It was incredible. I also learned working as an instructional aide at Victor Primary, and I'll give props to Ismael Miranda, who's here. He's Galileo's OSIC right now, but he was actually a kindergarten teacher when I was there. So I got to go into his classroom for 45 minutes every single day, and it was amazing to watch a teacher work with students with all different learning abilities, learning styles, language barriers, or no language at all, and watch him treat them all exactly the same. And he now has become, like I said, our OSEC. So I want to not only thank him for what I learned from him, but say you're welcome, because I'm sure your association with me had something to do with your success. So you're welcome wherever you are. You're welcome, Ishmael. You're welcome. God bless you. Okay. So then in February 1998, I was hired as a 5-hour, because I'm trying to move up to 8. 5-hour instructional aide at Puesto del Sol. I was only there for 4 months because I did get an 8-hour position. And it was for the assessment center secretary. I wasn't going to start that till September, so in July I applied for the summer school secretary at Irwin Academy, and I did that. And boy, talk about learning how to be fast-paced, learning how to think on your feet really quickly. Learning to be really quick at learning, because I was really new in the district, but that taught me so much about what secretaries do, and I learned the programs really quickly, and it was just so amazing that I had these opportunities to apply for and actually get hired. As the assessment center secretary, you guys, a lot of you are so young that you may not even know what I'm talking about, but we did have an assessment center secretary. I was the secretary of the center that was located at Wimbledon, and that program assessed every single student in this district with the Woodcock-Johnson. And luckily, I got the 8-hour position. At the same time, I was also the secretary at Charter 101 Elementary School, because they were merged. So the director was doing both programs at the same time. So I became a secretary to both programs. And what that taught me, I think one of the most important things that taught me was the support that I got from this district and this administration, because I had to learn how to stand up for myself respectfully and honorably to a very difficult employer. And I had the district backing me. And I just want to tell you, it took me 6 years to do that, but I learned to do it with grace and style. And I want to thank all of you that supported me during that time, because I learned so much. It was very beneficial. And then in January 1999 to June 2005, I became the SAM, or Site Administrative Manager, for Charter 101 for 6 years. So I was asked to choose between both programs, and I chose to stay on as a manager for Charter 101. And then in June 2005, the staff voted not to renew our charter and to become a district school instead. So in September 2005, Galileo was birthed under the awesome leadership of our superintendent, Jan Gonzalez. So I got to work for her. Yay! She was amazing. Got to work for her directly for 4 years. That was great. She started the GATE program, bilingual program, and we thrived because of her leadership. And just watching her, a very humble person to watch every single day, and her work ethic is bar none, and it just helped me so much to develop myself, my own character. And then, of course, the district office snatched her up. So bless the whole district. She needed to be there for the whole district's benefit, but it was a great loss to me, because it was a wonderful time that we worked together. And then in September 2009, I returned to Puesta for 1 year as their SAM, while their full-time SAM was deployed. So I got to do that. It was only a year assignment. I knew I was going to come back to Galileo. Great experience. All of these have shaped me as a person. And then, of course, I came back to Galileo in 2010 and worked for another 10 years. So we bring this now full closure to here now, because in January of this year, 2019, I turned in my retirement letter. So hard. And I stand up here crying, because it was a really difficult decision for me to make. Bittersweet, because great district, great job. I enjoy going to work every single day. Plus, now I have this beautiful office that I have to admit. If you haven't seen my office, it is amazing. And especially coming from where I didn't have an office for years, and then I was in a storage closet for years, which was a benefit for, believe me or not. So I have this beautiful office that our superintendent told me is actually larger than hers, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, but like I said, making the decision was very bittersweet. So why retire? Why retire from a job that I'm so lucky to have, so lucky to be blessed in? And I know that there are so many people out in the world that can't stand where they work, or they're treated really badly, and they certainly don't have a district like we do. Well, 2 reasons. I turned 65 in August of last year, and I also got diagnosed with breast cancer in July of last year. But in my closing, we'll come back to that because I have some exciting news to share with all of you. I want you to know that I leave VESD a much better and wiser person, apparently more emotional than I thought. Sorry about that. But because of my varied experiences, I have learned not only the art of customer service and people skills, but also how to listen effectively in order to de-escalate potential problems while using grace and flair. I learned that from being in this district. It has actually become fun for me to seek out people to help, to mitigate problems. I love doing that. It's what I thrive to do. I've learned that in this district. Thank you, Victor Elementary School District, for always striving for excellence and teaching us to honor all people and positions equally. You truly care about the opinions of all stakeholders, which sets you apart from any other school district I have ever heard of. We all learn by example, and the one you set is exemplary. Thank you so much. I also really appreciate the many opportunities you provide VESD employees to advance within the district. I found that bar none. Fantastic. We can always rise to a higher level if we want to, if we put in the work. I will always, even in my retirement, look for those opportunities where I can make the world a better place one day at a time within my own sphere of influence. You have been forever grafted into my heart and character, and I will never forget you. So in closing, I have some amazing news that I just found out last night from my oncologist office who called me. I was lucky enough to finally get an MRI approved on Monday, that I went down to the Hoag Hospital in Irvine and had that done. And the doctor and the nurse called me last night and told me there is no breast cancer. None. I am healed of breast cancer. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this district. Thank you for the positive attitude you have taught me and prayer. Thank you for all those people out there that have prayed for me, because prayer works. Thank you. God bless. Thank you so much. Praise the Lord. Really, praise the Lord. Woo! And I got to share that with all of you. Thank you so much. And as I always end Galileo's school messengers whenever I put them out, and my school can probably say it with me, bye for now. Thank you.
Next up, we have Principal Jodi Mccarran from Elevado School.
Can I use this one? Because I want to be visible. You know? All right, can everybody hear me? All right, so I was asked to tell a little story of the new school. So that's what I'm here to do. My little story begins many, 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 many years ago when the visionary leadership of Victor Elementary School District started having some conversations about 21st century learning. What would it look like? What would the students do? What would the teachers do? What types of technology would we have? And those questions surrounded as they had these conversations because, you know, it wasn't the 21st century yet. So they had to be thinking about that because, as you know, the leaders in our district are always forward thinking. Well, then we're going to go through a couple of these. Then about 6 years ago, they decided that they were going to do a one-to-one Chromebook rollout in the district, which I can honestly say, after talking to a lot of districts, we were one of the first ones to jump on board and go one-to-one. But they decided we didn't want to just do it, we wanted to do it right. So they sent the entire tech team, and they sent all the Common Core coaches, of which I was one, up to the Google headquarters. Now, our primary objective there was to meet with education specialists and to talk to the people who knew the most about Chromebooks and develop a system of rolling it out to minimize as many problems as we could. But something else happened when we were there. We looked around and we saw this vision of 21st century workplaces that we had never experienced anywhere before. The way that they worked, the way it was structured, everything was different. And that instilled a new curiosity and a new interest in all of our minds. So then the question became, what if Google was an elementary school? So we started thinking about that. And as we were thinking, we thought, okay, so, what are some of the things we noticed when we were at Google? Well, one of the things was they had huge open working spaces. People were collaborating all the time in all different environments. Supervisors were collaborating with the workers were collaborating with each other. There was glass on all the windows. There was natural light. So if an elementary school was going to be a Google elementary, it would have to have open learning spaces. So we put in open learning spaces with the contractor, a place where teachers can collaborate with each other, where students can collaborate with each other, and where teachers and students can collaborate together, where learning can occur in a new, different environment. Lots of glass and natural light that will help them learn in new and different ways. Okay, so what else did we notice at Google? It was really colorful. And they had a lot of unconventional ways for their employees to sit and for their employees to work. So that meant that a Google elementary school would need to have the same things. They would need to have different types of desks and tables. They would need to have different kinds of seats. They would need to have soft seating options. They would need to have tiered options. Everything would need to be mobile. There would have to be places where students could stand and do work. There would have to be places where they can sit on the floor and do work. There would have to be places where they could lay down if that's where they learned the best. Because Google provided that environment, and I am telling you, the biggest thing that it gave us when we walked through those doors was it instilled a sense of creativity and wonder in your mind that I'd never felt anywhere else. That's what our goal is to do in a classroom, our communities. We want the students to walk in, and we want them to feel that same creative juice that we felt when we walked in. So then we talked a little bit about what's their philosophy of work. How do they operate these things? Well, you know, they give their workers a lot of ability to kind of create their own learning, their own work world. They have deadlines, of course. They have projects they need to get done. But their workers take their own ownership. They don't just work at 8 and then they have a regimented schedule that goes all the way through the day and they have to do exactly what everybody else is doing at the same time. They have the opportunities to say, which types of things am I going to do to accomplish this task? What are the things I'm going to do to make this happen? So how do we bring that to an elementary school? Personalized learning. Our students will be setting goals for themselves. They will know the standards they have to master, but they will set goals for themselves to decide, how do I learn best and how will I achieve that goal? Our teachers, who are not teachers, they are learning facilitators, will help that process along. Our students will be able to decide, do I learn best from a digital lesson? Maybe small group instruction is best for me. Maybe I need some one-on-one time with an instructor. But they will take ownership of their learning, and their needs will be met where they are. Okay, so what was one of the other things? Google also gave 20% of their time to employees to pursue projects of their own interest. So, how can we bring that to an elementary school? Well, project-based learning. Our students will be given the opportunity to pursue interests, and they will have the opportunity to work on projects that they have a vested interest in, projects that matter, projects that are going to make a difference, maybe to other people, maybe to the school, and maybe sometimes projects that just make a difference in the community. So we're going to be embracing project-based learning. Okay, so then the final question is, we've got the open spaces, we've got the furniture, we've got the ideas of the program, but what did those Google employees have to be good at to survive and thrive in that facility? Our students need the same thing. And those are the 21st century skills that we have encapsulated into the 6 C's. Our students will spend a tremendous amount of time, and if they come with us in kindergarten and TK, by the time they leave, our ultimate goal is more than anything else for them to be awesome in these 6 areas. Our students will have to be able to collaborate. They cannot be successful when they leave us if they don't know how to collaborate in effective ways. They won't be able to be successful if they can't communicate. If they can't communicate through writing, through reading, through speaking, through listening. They have to be critical thinking problem solvers. That's an absolute must, because we're going to run into a lot of things. And when you're doing projects, there are a lot of times where you try something and it doesn't work. And they're going to have to be able to think and solve that. They also have to be creative, because we want them, all of those things that sometimes get squelched as children grow up, we want to embrace that and we want it to grow, not just survive, we want it to thrive. And finally, the last 2, which are equally important and is why we went with the 6 C's, is it is absolutely invaluable to us that our students develop incredible character and develop a sense of citizenship. A citizenship within their communities at our school, a citizenship within our family as a school body, and their citizenship within our cities, our nation, and beyond. They have to understand that they are an integral part of that. So when you put all these things together and you wrap it all up in a pretty little bow, I guess you could say the new school is Victor Elementary's version of a Google Elementary School. Whoops. I'm trying to go back to the... And now it is my honor and privilege to invite up one of those visionary Victor Elementary School District leaders who has helped make all this happen, our own Superintendent Jan Gonzalez.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to advance here. First off, I want to start off and thank you all for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. And I'm saying that on behalf of the Board of Trustees, who I am indebted to, because if you're hearing these stories today, and they're because we have a board who drives my goals and allows you to do your job without any micromanagement. So I think we just need to give them a big hand right off the bat. So I'm going to bring it down a couple of notches. I like the business of starting this off with stories. Eric, your wisdom is commendable, because now you're going to see some of the data behind these stories and what we deal with behind the scenes, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. Typically at the State of the District, we go into more depth on budget and dashboard, so you're acquainted with it, and we're just going to touch down briefly on it. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the budget. You can see for our 2018-19 school year that we got about $149 million. That was a Freudian slip. As revenue, and we have about $147 million in expenses. What you might be seeing next year is those numbers, and it could flip as far as greater than less than. The expenses next year may be a little higher than our revenues are, and if that happens, then VESC will make our needed adjustments that we need to make. One of the adjustments is already in place where we are now opened back up for intra-district transfers. We had to close for this year because a lot of our schools were at capacity, but with the new school opening, thank you, Jodi, we will have some room and we'll be able to open that back up. Our projections for the next couple of years are very conservative. We have a new governor in place. We're not sure exactly how the state legislature is going to accept his January proposal and the May revision. So until we see the actual adopted budget in the end of June, we'll make more decisions then. But right now, we're going in very, very conservative. So then we're moving on to the California School Dashboard. And if you remember from past meetings, and you know, there's a lot of people here from our LCAP committees, and you're familiar with this, that the state adopted this dashboard system for accountability. And actually it's a growth model, so you're only competing against yourself in this. Your district is only competing against itself, and your school is only competing against itself. So, first of all, there's what our student population is looking like currently. So 82% social and economically disadvantaged. We have almost 17% in our English learner category and 1.9% in our foster youth. These are the three drivers of our funding. So we get our base grant based on ADA, we get supplemental and concentration grant based on the numbers in these three subgroups right here. This is our results in our academic performance. You can see here that we have our English language arts results, which is based on the state assessment as well as math. And then we have our English learners progress, which at the time here was based on multiple measures, and that's going to switch up a little bit as the years go on. Not bad results, but not great results either. So we are working extremely hard on this as we speak. Our local measures in this are wrapped around items such as professional development, curriculum, etc. At this time, I'm going to stop right here because I do want to introduce some people here, and that way, if you do have questions in the future, you can direct it to them. But I do want to love you guys. I want to introduce Cabinet because you've heard all these stories, and they're behind these as well in a very integral way, where they're rolling their sleeves up and doing this job behind the scenes so that all these other people that you've heard from today and the many, many more out there that there are can do this unhindered. So I want to introduce, first of all, Maureen Mills personnel. Dr. Tanya Benitez, Pupil Services. Laurie Clark, Educational Services. And Debbie Betts, who is in the back right there, Administrative Services. Debbie is getting phone calls as we speak, so we put her back there. So on academic performance, this is Laurie's world, but there's such a merge in this district, overlap of all the departments, that is not just Laurie. And behind Laurie are some really great people, and if you guys would just stand for a second, support specialists in 06, could you stand, please? A wise man once told me to get the right people on the right seat in the bus, and I thank you, Dr. Baker, for that advice. Academic engagement, the one measure for the state is chronic absenteeism, and this is a very steep hill for Victor Elementary to climb, but we are climbing it. So currently, we are actually spending a grant that we received from the County Office of Education, so thank you to Ted Alejandre very much. What we're doing with that money at the district level is we have purchased postcards that are going to go out to kids and tell them we miss you when you're sick, when they're showing signs of that, creeping towards that chronic absenteeism piece, and then also getting information out to the parents that explains what are the effects of chronic absenteeism. We also are using those funds to produce some videos from a parent's perspective, and you're going to love these when you see these when they're ready, of what attendance means to their children at school. So exciting work being done there. Aside from that, each and every principal, could you guys all stand? More people on the right seat. They are doing crazy out-of-the-box things at their sites to get that attendance up. So we expect to see results. What we want to see is the slow, steady, sustainable results, and because then we know we can keep these kids here and keep them for years and years to come. Is Brian Becker here? Thank you, Brian. Stand up, please. Brian is our Director of Student Climate and Student Wellness and School Climate and Student Wellness, and he is heading up this chronic absenteeism efforts, and I appreciate your efforts, Brian. Conditions and climate, so this is our suspension rate as we speak. And then we also have our local indicators on there. Other local indicators, these are interesting because student climate is how well schools provide a healthy, safe, and welcoming environment for their students. Conditions and climate does. So we have our 5-star award on there as one of our local indicators. That is an inspection that is done at each site, not just the Williams sites, every site in our district every year. We have different levels of parent engagement that our schools are accountable to, and I'll go into it a little bit further. It's incentivized. And then also our committee work on LCAP, where we engage parents, community members, classified, certificated, and management and confidential employees across the board. And then finally, our parent, student, and staff surveys. So we're working hard on these measures from the state, and we are making progress. But like I said before, we want it to be the slow, sustainable progress. So you heard from that team that presented on MTSS, and I don't think I could have done a better job explaining MTSS than what they did here today. It was absolutely outstanding. We are focused not just on academics, but on the kids' social emotional health. So, or otherwise the academic gauges you saw on the dashboard. We have a lot of district events, and I couldn't put them all up here. And then the sites have probably triple what we do at the district level at their sites to not only make school welcoming and safe, but also fun. And it goes back to some of the things that Scott was saying earlier. So I'm going to show you a few of those. Opening day is a meeting that we have where the entire district staff attends so that we can honor and celebrate their successes, and it's a joy every August now. It's a joy to attend. This is a new partnership we have with the Mojave National Preserve Conservancy. This is allowing us to send 6th graders out to the Mojave National Preserve. The curriculum is Next Generation Science Standards, where they use it to travel all over the preserve and explore the ecosystems, et cetera, out there. But not only that, it's their first time camping. They stay the night in tents. And the joint effort from this district is absolutely outstanding that went to get there. From the bus drivers who drove and were heavily participatory in this camping trip, to nutrition services who provided meals that they were dying to eat. I just can't say enough. It was a dream team that was behind it and that went with them, and it was a great experience, and we have another one going out in May. Flag football. There you go. I see people pointing. This has been put on by coaches made up of classified and certificated teachers in our district. When you walk up to that field for the 2-day tournament that they hold at Challenger School of Sports and Fitness, it's like a Pop Warner field. You have parents with their easy-ups, their chairs, entire families out there, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and yet these kids are getting to experience football and learn about football and sportsmanship for free. So hats off to that event. Robotics, a very, very proud event of Victor Elementary School District. We hold this, or Ed Services holds this at the fairgrounds, and it looks like a professional event. And the reason it does is because of a collaboration between Ed Services and technology. It's like a mesh team that comes together and puts on this event. It's live streamed so that students can watch it from their sites and cheer their teams on, and parents can kind of catch it maybe during a break at work if they can't make it to the event as well. It's an awesome event, and whenever I go, I sit in the chairs with the parents, and to watch them on the edge of their seats, excited for their kids, it's wonderful. Basketball tournament this year. This basketball tournament's been going on for many years, but this year, a few principals and some teachers and some classified employees came together and brought it in-house. It's a 9-week tournament, and it's going very, very well. Once again, to teach them the concepts of the game, but also sportsmanship. And free to the kids. So for our kids who can't experience, some of our kids who can't experience getting out there and joining AYSO, City Sports, or Pop Warner, here are the alternatives that our staff is providing them, and it's outstanding. Junior Olympics, this has been going on for a long time, gives our students a great chance to experience what a real track meet looks like. And because of Victor Valley Union High School District allowing us to use Silverado's track, it's even bigger than what we could do with our sites. We have Ed Services that comes together with us, our coaches, and then we even have some principals who are out there announcing and DJing, and I want to thank everybody for that event too. It's a treat every year to go to, and you can't beat it. This is just a picture of our morning mob that was mentioned earlier. I have to say it's cabinet, it's directors, it's supervisors. Sometimes we get some other employees out there with us from the site or classified employees. And then also now, lately, we've got the fire department coming with us. So it makes our day, it makes our week to see there, to see the smiling faces, and some not so smiling, but usually by the time they get through the line, they are. Loud music, courtesy of Eric Camarina, and even though there's some arguments over the music sometimes, but it works. It's working really well. And then at the end of the year, we start with opening day. At that fun meeting, at the end of the year, we end with the VESD picnic, which is for all staff members and their families. And we really, really appreciate that day to just shut down and have some fun. And it's a great event and well appreciated. Fitness Challenge. We get a bunch of employees together for this, where we compete with other organizations and businesses in the Victor Valley. We come out strong every year, and first place this year. So I don't want to rub that in anymore. It's one of the joys of my year. Let's see. Then this. This was the groundbreaking of our new school that Jodi was just speaking to everybody about. And that was a great day for us to break that ground. And I know that I have board members that hold this site very near and dear to their heart, because they're very anxious to see the 21st century concept come alive in a school. Okay. Oh, back it up. So the 21st century skills, I didn't go with the 6, Jodi. I went with the 4 because I want to just touch on what they have meant to Victor Elementary School District as a whole. So the new school is focused on these skills, and these, among other skills, so it's communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity are the ones that I'm addressing right now. These are skills that our employers are looking for. The world is changing so fast that we don't know what jobs are going to be out there for our students when they graduate. Our students won't know how those jobs that they get into evolve before they are ready to retire themselves. Bottom line, our kids have to know these skills and how to learn. That's what's going to benefit them the most. So communication. In Victor Elementary School District, we've exercised these 4 C's at least for 34 years as an organization. And communication has been encouraged to and from people since all of us in this room started here. From all of our stakeholders, from parents, I'll never forget going as a newer teacher to one of our strategic plannings, and I don't want to say how many years ago it was, but amazed that in that room were business leaders, were parents, and then of course classified and certificated employees giving input to this district on which direction it should go in the following year. Other pieces of communication that have come up that are unique to Victor Elementary are items like TAC, Teacher Advisory Council, CAC, Classified Advisory Council. These are meetings where we get together and work on issues, concerns, questions, and kudos, and put out fires while they're still small. Collaboration. One of the big ideas in Victor L for all these years is to benchmark other schools and other districts. And what we do in this district, and if you came to a squad meeting with the principals, you would see it, is the collaboration when I find that my results are not as good as their results, so I'm going to get over there and figure out what that is that they're doing so that I can bring it back to my site. So there's a constant collaboration about improvement. There's also a constant collaboration about professional development. Ed Services puts out a survey every year to ask, what do you need to the teachers? What do you need for the next year so that we can bring that to you? And not only that, now with the O6 on the sites, they're able to collaborate about professional development continuously every day, all day at the sites. And that is a huge priority for Victor Elementary School District and has been for as many years as I can remember. This encourages communication as well because for this 34 years, Victor Elementary has believed that the site knows best. So over this 34 years, they've made decisions at their site rather than the district coming top down on them, telling them what they think. In creativity, it has occurred because Victor has never dictated to teachers, schools, classified employees how they do their job. So we've never told teachers that, okay, it's day 3, you should be on page 9 on that math book, and everybody be there when I walk through. It's never worked like that. We observe the standards, we know the standards, the teachers dissect the standards, and then they decide in their classroom how to put that forth. Critical thinking has included bringing representatives from all the stakeholder groups in, so we do that with our local control accountability committees, as I mentioned before, but it's to think strategically and to come up with ideas, and like ideas that have carried on for a long time, and I'm not sure exactly when this originated, but the Learning for All plan is unique to Victor Elementary School District, and I don't know if everybody in here is very familiar with that, but it's an incentive-based program where if sites meet the certain measures, so measures in academics, measures in attendance, measures in parent engagement, measure in school safe and orderly. If they meet those, then there's money to be had in the budget for their school budget. And it's even it's evolved to the point now where they can carry it over and save for bigger items like marquees and things like that. So we're seeing that happen. So all 4 of these concepts have been utilized in Victor Elementary, and discretionary funding has been passed down to the sites as much as possible so that they can support these schools to have their communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking exist at the site level to do what's best for their students. So these concepts and many more had their beginning in 1985. Jodi, can you come on up here with me? Because in 1985, there was a hiring of an innovative driver whose longevity with VESD solidified the culture that still exists in this district today. And it's not an easy culture to sustain, but it's well worth it. Therefore, it is extremely a natural fit to name our new school I think he thinks he was just going to get off easy enough by turning around and waving. Dr. Baker, could you please come on up? This is going to be the Dr. Ralph H. Baker 21st Century Learning Center. And they are going to be, well, and I better switch the slides. They are going to be the Raptors. So on the front it says RB21, and then on the back it has the full name of the school and the mascot. It's for you. Oh, thank you. In my heart, she is the one that's going to do this school. I'm very proud to have Jodi as a principal, and I'm very proud to have this school named after Dr. Baker. And I want to thank the board, because the board was the one that said, this is what it has to be. So you guys, your insight and your wisdom is off the charts, and I want to thank you too. So I'm hoping that most of you will be able to make the ribbon cutting this summer, because we're going to ask Dr. Baker to say a few words at that time when he's prepared, but I just wanted you to know the name today. Yeah. Thank you, too.
I would like to say something.
Please.
This reminds me of a class I took at UC Riverside on American history. The professor got up, and the first book we were reading was entitled The Long Death. You know, and he said, I hope it doesn't represent the course. I hope it doesn't represent my few words. But I have just a short story. Scott McDonald, where are you? Yeah, I have to tell you, I was having lunch with your mother many years ago. We were at a little management meeting at Northwoods in Big Bear. And she was talking about, if she had her way, you would never leave home. You know, I go, wrong. I go, your job, because you owe all of us, adults in the room, to grow a responsible young man. And so she did that. And I would like just to say a few words on what we faced July 1, 1985. You know, the old adage, if you didn't have any district, you wouldn't have any at all. We didn't have a district. We had 4 schools. They were poorly maintained, undersupplied, no air conditioning, no libraries, no food services, no transportation facility. We had 10 old buses that could barely pass the highway patrol inspection. You know, and I had come from the high school district where it was state of the art. So walking into that situation, it was like, ouch. On one side, it's like, this is hopeless. On the other side, what an opportunity. No matter where we started, we're going to improve it. But one resource we did have was a staff that did not make an excuse. They went out there with very few things and did the best they could. And so when I think of the school named after me, what I think of is collaboration. Because that's what it took. And the culture, where I cemented it in the district, I put it in the contract. Was that a fight? Oh yeah, it's the things you don't see that Jan will go through. But my assistant soup is my chief negotiator. And I'm going, okay, I want you to go in and collaborate. That's not, I don't collaborate. I go, well, I'll accept your resignation. Yeah, and he was like, what? I go, your contract says you're our chief negotiator. And it also says I'm your boss. And he goes, Ralph, I was always trained you can't negotiate style. I said, well, I think we've negotiated a bureaucratic style long enough. So let's try collaboration. And he said that he couldn't negotiate that, so he said, I'd appreciate you doing it. So if the one thing I did bring into the district, the rest is done through collaboration. I negotiated with the teacher union president to put site-based management in the contract. Knowing that, you know, and my strength is research. And so I had researched it. And what the research says is once you put it in, you'll have hell to pay to take it out. So I did that knowingly. I'm sticking every superintendent and board with the bona fide way you should treat one of the most intelligent workforces in the world, the teaching staff. You do it with respect. It's not top down. So that was the understanding. And I'm really thankful for the board for carrying on this tradition. I want to personally thank you for this recognition. It's very humbling. I got to tell you, when Jan first called me and said the board would like permission to use your name for a new school, it's like, whoa. You know, generational differences, you don't get used to acknowledgement. And so you're like, wow. No words could ever express how I felt. So to Gabe Stein, absolutely a perfect board member. I want to say thank you to Dr. Gary Elder, who's teaching. A tremendous thank you. Clayton Moore, Joyce Chamberlain, tremendous thank you. And a quick note of interest, Alan Williams. Before I was superintendent, I was principal of Hook. Alan was one of our students. Outstanding young man, outstanding adult. I think it's just an honor to have him on our board. Alan, did you go to Parkview or Village at an elementary school? Parkview. Yeah, you look at that history. When you look at the cabinet, you know, I now work for Ted Alejandre, great county superintendent. I mean, he gives his all to go out there and help schools. But our cabinet, that culture has been ingrained year in and year out. And with the board selecting Jan selecting her cabinet, you know, I just happened to think, you know, Jodi, you fit the perfect example of what we look for. Years ago, Janet Young, when she became our director of personnel, said, what's your major criteria for a principal? I go, it starts with being an outstanding teacher. Well, Jodi fits that description. Every one of these cabinet members were former teachers, principals, now assistant soups. And you think of, I think Jan and Laurie, weren't you on the same fourth grade team with Liberty?
We have different grade levels, but at the same time.
Yeah. So when you look at the strength of this culture, because now when I work for the county, what we do, we have a team of retired superintendents that help boards hire superintendents, work on board superintendent relations. It's not easy to put together that culture and to keep it together. And sometimes boards are looking at we need to change. So our task is to really get them to think through their culture, because it will drastically impact the staff. So Jan, I just admire the heck out of her. Where she's taken you guys and cabinet, it's just phenomenal. I was telling one of you guys. On the test scores, I looked them up and called her and said, as I read these test scores, you guys are #1 in the high desert. That's the way I read it. I said, at least if I'm reading it wrong. So I think Jan sometimes is too humble. And I think, what a job, and it's on the shoulders of all you guys. I mean, you're out there doing that work, and it's very praiseworthy. I think the other thing people we need to thank out there is our community. They passed this bond. They're the unsung heroes. Lastly, I'd like to thank my wife. Usually, as leadership, it's a partnership. She'd be here today, but we have this little dog. We don't trust anybody with our dog. Just the way when you're retired, your kids are gone. Just the way it is. But probably for her, what she did for me, whenever I would come home and talk about the great things people were doing, she'd always go, "Did you let them know that?" Well, most of the time it was no. Generational differences. You didn't talk about good work, you did good work. Nobody had to pat you on the back. It was like, get real. But she'd always go, it's important. So now when I talk to superintendents sometimes on the phone, and I'll be bragging on them, wow, they're doing great work. Did you let them know that? Well, most of the time, yes, sometimes no. And she's always like, call them back, let them know. So, that's important. Finally, when the multi-level team was talking up here, I thought, we have that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. I think it's reversed. We can't see the tree for the forest. When those massive kids come at us, we see a group. We don't see individuals. And it's taken the time to see them as an individual. So, thank you, board. Thank you, Ryan Mccarran, for being here. I got to tell a quick story. My father-in-law turned 100, and he was at Sterling Commons. Ryan was the mayor of Victorville. He came and gave him his little certificate for turning 100. It meant a lot. So, again, thank you, board. This is appreciated.
Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate your presence here today, and go forth and have a great day.